point on what's happening right now is a lot of people are completely oblivious to the fact that when Uncle Joe, your resident, fell out with Russia, Russia decided to go and do business with China, with China's own digital currency. Now, China's digital currency was gold-backed. Exactly. So Russia and China decided to negotiate on oil with a gold-backed currency. And then India went, hang on, we'll go as well. Just so that people realize, India and China, 1.5 billion in each country. That's 3 billion people. Just in India and China. Russia added to that, Brazil added to that, South Africa added to that, takes it up considerably. And they're known as the group of BRICS. Now, this is where America is not seeing, because media are not covering this. Right. Along with BRICS, there are countries that have already joined the BRICS group. Egypt has joined them. Afghanistan has joined them. Algeria, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Senegal, Thailand, the United Arab Emirates, Argentina, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Zimbabwe, Iraq, and interestingly enough, the United Kingdom. And the United Kingdom is going to back its currency by sterling silver, going back to what it was before. Right. Now, they've already done this, but nothing in media. Now, there's a list of countries that have applied but not yet been integrated. Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Panama, Bolivia, Chile, Cuba, Ecuador, Peru, Uruguay, Venezuela, Azerbaijan, Mongolia, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Turkey, and the fun one, Germany. The fact that Germany has applied tells me that the European Union's days are completely over. Because if the Germans are leaving the EU, there was only the Germans and the British that were putting in. The rest were taking out.
Exactly. So let's talk about this because, so number one, just the BRICS alone, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, represents about 47% of Correct. The world, of the Correct. Population. I mean, you mentioned China and India. Yeah. You know, it's incredible. So we're looking at almost damn near half the world population just in those 5 countries. Now, very, very quick history lesson. In 2000 and, the second Obama administration, Obama, through, via the United States of America, because of him being in the president, allowed China into the World Bank.
Yeah.
Okay? Because China, you have to meet certain criteria and you have to have certain resources to be able to even be a member of it. Because it is a bank of unelected bureaucrats, but it is a bank that does manage and monitor global conditions, the global financial conditions. So Obama allows the China into the World Bank, and suddenly the rise of BRICS is created. You bring in all those other countries that you mentioned, Charlie, and now we're talking about 75%, and I'm probably underestimating a bit, of the global population. And then you start talking about other some other English-speaking nations, as well as a financial powerhouse of Germany, right? And you bring those together and you say, okay, well, what the heck is going on? Why are we moving in this direction? And where does the U.S. stand? When we start to talk about gold and, the tonnage of gold, gold bonds, and, people that invest in gold paper, they're investing in toilet paper, actually. If you invest in actual gold and actual silver, then you're better off. When you look at countries like China and others, I mean, there's some others, Saudi Arabia you mentioned, but all these others, you start to look at where our gold resources, particularly gold, but silver as well, where they are physically being brought into. And now we're into the tonnage. This is not, a couple of ounces or a couple of pounds. These are tons and tons of gold resources, particularly gold resources and silver resources, because that's what nations know they must have as we go through this and get ready for this financial reset. It is going to happen. It's going to happen. What the United States of America must be able to do is we're going to have to sort of look back and look at our own resources, because when we start having our own markets, our own institutions, our own resources bought up by particularly China, I mean, we have a large amount of resources, particularly gold, or backed by gold, backed by American physical gold for some of the things that we've done because of our own debt. We're in trouble. We're in trouble. So, from the perspective of just individuals finances, individuals' wealth, people need to really understand that this is moving. So you're going to have to hedge, right? Hedge is a word that they use in the financial world. You're going to have to hedge what you have. And like I said, if you're invested in paper, gold or paper silver, what those commodity buyers are doing is they're just buying and selling that paper. It's just like from this latest disaster, natural disaster we just had here in Florida, which is where I'm at, Hurricane Ian. 15 insurance companies have gone under because people pay money to them. They pay money to those insurance companies. They go and invest. The next thing you know, you have a disaster, which is a gamble for them. And people are going, hey, we're looking at a $75 billion to $100 billion payoff of this hurricane that we had, in this this typhoon we had in Florida, and they can't pay it. So 15 insurance companies go out of business, and lo and behold, people are stuck with no home. So all of these things matter, all these details matter, Charlie. And I think that we're going into a period of time right now where the Great Reset crowd is going to speed up the financial reset, because it is a big part of the Great Reset, where, as we know, Klaus Schwab says, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
He doesn't finish that statement off and say, I'll own everything and be even happier.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, but we also owe a debt of gratitude to President Donald Trump, because if it wasn't for him, there would be no gold in Fort Knox at all. It was empty when he took office. I mean, everything had been sold cheap.
Right. And the same with oil. I mean, I appreciate you bringing that up. Exactly. He filled the coffers of America back up with not only gold, but also liquid gold, right? Because petrodollars is another component. And in the United States of America, he took our strategic reserve and filled it back up. This guy, Uncle Joe, has depleted that reserve. And that's a wartime reserve, really, when you think about it.
And I must thank you publicly for getting me an invitation to Mar-a-Lago, because it was you that managed to sort that out for me. I really appreciate it. It was a beautiful experience. Oh, it is. It's a home of the President of the United States, obviously, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful place. And when you go there, you see the magnificence of it. You can sometimes Trump will just be sitting around eating lunch there or walking around. It's his home. And when you do get a chance to meet him, he's a very gracious, very switched on guy. Everything that we've been talking about, I know he is very fully aware of it all. And he's going to fight. He's going, as he says, America First is a governing philosophy. It is not something that is a nationalist, like they try to paint him into a corner. Because if America thrives, the rest of the world thrives. And America still has a great capacity for innovation, has a great capacity because of the people that we have. Freedom allows innovation, and that innovation creates things. And it's not just creating wealth; it's creating all kinds of other opportunities. And that's what sort of the America First philosophy, governing philosophy, is all about. And so if Donald Trump he's revived that, he's renewed that, because America First as a governing philosophy has been around for a long time. What Americans love is they love his bumper sticker, "Make America Great Again," right? How can you not feel good about that, right? Exactly. So, I was on a flight the other day, and there wasn't a lot to do, and I watched a documentary about John McEnroe, who was brought up in New York, and it gave me an insight into Donald Trump as to how hard it is to actually survive and be successful in New York, a very competitive city. For business and for sport and for everything. And of course, there's a lot of people out there that criticize him, but to take down what the work that he's doing right now in taking down evil It needs a real man, and like yourself as well, a real man to stand up against these people who've absolutely thrown everything at you and him and me and many other truth seekers and patriots. And the generation of young men nowadays that's coming through.
They dress like women, and they want to go into the girls' locker room, and they want to swim or run or jump or compete against, people that are, half their size, a third their weight.
Yes.
And pretend like, it's okay. I mean, this idea of transgenderism. I would just say that you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right that we need champions, Charlie. We need champions. You're a champion. Donald Trump is certainly a champion. One of the things that we do with our platforms, I think, and one of the things that we can do and have been doing, and you've been exceptional about this, is exposing these people, exposing the lies, exposing the deception, and raising the truth to the level that it needs to be at, which it always comes out. It doesn't matter, and I've always said this, and I don't know where I got it or if just came to me one night in a dream, but the truth fears no enemies, because it's like if God is the truth, then that's why I believe that. I believe that the truth fears no enemies, because clearly God fears no enemies. But has enemies. We all have enemies. The truth has enemies, and the enemies are lies. The enemy of evil is good, and we want to make sure that we take good and take it to another level. And but it doesn't mean that, well, I'm going to be good and I'm going to be compassionate and I'm going to try to hug you. I mean, if you need a slap in the head or a knock across the noggin, we need to do that too. We need to be prepared to do that too. And sort of metaphorically, right? That there has to be a discipline to those who think that everything can be a godless society, a soulless society, a darkness in our system, because there's only a few people that benefit. There's only a few people that benefit from those types of societies, and that's this globalist elite, because the rest of us, Charlie, will become slaves. So I want to, if you don't mind, I want to take a minute, because I'm going to shamelessly plug my book. But
please do. Please do.
It's called The Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare, and people can find it at my website, generalflynn.com, generalflynn.com, or they can go to Barnes and Noble and purchase it. On my website, you can go; it'll take you to Barnes and Noble. But the whole reason why myself and this great young Sergeant Boone Cutler, who I know, who was a psychological operations specialist in the United States Army, and we fought together in Iraq. And I've been involved, of course, in the intelligence business and in the world of information and information operations. And what we are, so we define in warfare, we define generations of warfare. The first generation was really, it was the club over the head, right? It was the spears across the field. And then, you migrate over the development of gunpowder and machine guns and tanks and planes to nuclear weapons. And then you now enter this new phase, or this new framework of war, and that's called fifth generation warfare. And that's a combination of hybrid, irregular, unrestricted. And the Chinese are actually masters at this. The Chinese literally wrote the book on unrestricted warfare. It was published in about 1998 time frame. I had the privilege, actually, while I attended the United States Navy War College, of meeting the two authors, because they brought them over to the United States to talk about it at the time. There was a lot of détente still happening because of the end of the Cold War. So I listened to these two, and I read it. I understand it. So where we are today, we are in this war of narratives, and that's what we try to lay out in here. And actually, people can look at it. If you just physically look at it, we designed it like a military field manual. And when you go through it, I actually created, and in fact, one of the things we did, because when we looked at military field manuals, which myself and the author have a lot of time for, what we did was we don't have chapters in this, Charlie. We have sections, and it's really easy to highlight. It's easy to go through. It's easy to go back. But one of the things that we did was at the end of every major section, we gave the reader a test. And some of the questions take you back into the chapter to make you rethink about what you read, but also ask you about things that you have experienced in your own life that dealt with what we just taught you. And what it does, and it is an absolute bombshell bestseller right now, because we just really, because of glitches in the internet and all this sort of stuff, we probably in the last week, it is now open to the international audience. So international audiences can now come into the system and purchase it. We were actually being blocked by Amazon for a while. We were blocked by Barnes and Noble, but Barnes and Noble saw it as it was a moneymaker for them. So it was a business endeavor. Amazon has not allowed us to come back, but people are now reselling on Amazon. But they're reselling it like $60, $65. Go to Barnes and Noble if you want the cheapest price, but it's open to the international audience. So fifth generation warfare is what exactly, it's like elements of COVID, right? COVID was this mass psychosis and that we were put through. And then there was a physical component, because even in fifth generation warfare, there are physical components that we must understand. So you have Chinese introduction of fentanyl for years now, decades, into the United States. That's called chemical warfare. You have the advent of this biological weapon called the vaccine. That's called chemical warfare. And then you have the narrative from the woke corporations, from these woke governments, from the woke media, the global media, and they're continuing to reinforce these lies and these deceptions. So all of that are things that we talk about in this book. The main component of it at the end, though, Charlie, is the call to action. How do we overcome this? Because this is not a war of neighbor against neighbor or family member against family member. It is a war against, really, and you hit on it, Charlie, it's a war against good versus evil. And I think that's where we want, us writing this, want people to understand what it is, because this is what we are in. We are in fifth generation warfare right now. So I appreciate the time today, Charlie, and we'll do this again, because I do want to talk about, I want to talk about Ukraine.
Yep.
I want to talk about China.
Yep.
I want to talk about Iran and what Israel has recently done.
Yep.
There are foreign policy issues unfolding around the world, and they are all related to exactly what it is that we're doing. And one of the things that I definitely appreciate you raising today is this issue of the financial reset and the BRICS plus. It used to just be those 5 nations. Now it's damn near the entirety of the planet, minus a few countries, one of which still is the United States. But I believe that there are those inside of our government that are quietly moving us towards this reset.
How are you placed tomorrow in 24 hours time? Because we've got the Insiders Club. Or are you busy?
Wow. Let me look at it, Charlie, because I have to run. I have to run to a tour that I'm about to get of a ballpark that we're looking at for a large event here in the fall, which you will receive an invite to here in Florida. And so I got to run there. They are able to open it up for me this morning.
Okay.
So I apologize. I can't stay much longer.
No, that's fine. But if not,
let me come back to you, Charlie.
Yeah.
Let me come back to you, and my Melissa.
Yes.
Yeah. Ping her, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Cheers, Mike. General Michael.
Thank you to your audience. Thank you to Charlie for all you're doing.
Pleasure.
God bless.
God bless.
Αυτός ήταν για να βάλουμε και τα σχετικά εδώ πέρα τα κόλπα μας. Μπράβο. Λοιπόν, ελπίζω να τον απολαύσατε και τους δύο και να δω τι θα γράψετε τώρα, γιατί μέχρι τώρα δεν γράφατε.